Welcome to Jackets TV, presented by Ohio Health. I'm Jeff Rimer.
And I'm Bob McElligott.
Well, it's here. Realignment is now official. The Board of Governors has approved, after the National Hockey League Players Association approved realignment. It goes into effect next season, and the Blue Jackets are moving, Bob, to the Eastern Conference.
Well, it's about time, a lot of people would say, because the Blue Jackets, ever since they started in the National Hockey League, have been in that Western Conference. That's meant long trips, it's meant late nights, and it's meant a lot of wear and tear on the players, but that will change next year.
Of course, the Blue Jackets moving to the Eastern Conference will mean many more games in the Eastern Time Zone. The Blue Jackets, after all, are an Eastern Time Zone hockey club. You look at the situation, Detroit Red Wings also moving over, so the rivalry will continue between the two teams, maybe not to the extent we've seen in the Central Division over these last few years.
But this year, that's a good thing, because that's a rivalry you do want to continue after the way the Blue Jackets played the Red Wings, but it's a good thing for everybody. If you're in the Eastern Time Zone, you should be in the Eastern Conference, and they've gotten it right. Let's
take a look quickly at the Western Conference, and we'll start with the Pacific Division. You have the California teams hooking up with the Western Canadian teams, the two Alberta squads, and of course the Vancouver Canucks.
Well, this makes sense, obviously, because those are the furthest teams west. That gives them a chance to line up a little bit better and play within their own time zone for the most part, most of those teams, and it cuts down on the travel. That's what this is all about for everybody. It cuts down on the travel, and those teams make sense being together.
As we continue and look at the new Western Conference Midwest Division, you have the Blackhawks, the Colorado Avalanche, Dallas Stars, Minnesota Wild, Nashville Predators, St. Louis Blues, and the Winnipeg Jets. All except Colorado are in that same time zone.
Right, and this is really a win for the Winnipeg Jets. This is the team that has been really taking it on the chin the last couple of years since they came into the league, moving that Atlanta team into Winnipeg. They've had to play in the Southeast Division, so they've had a ton of travel. This gets them lined up where they should be.
All right, let's take a look at the Eastern Conference, and first off, we will look at the new Central Division makeup and take a look at this division. It is top-heavy with talent, and quite frankly, as we look at it, Bob, a lot of these teams are capped teams. You have Boston, Buffalo, the Red Wings, Florida, Montreal, Ottawa, Tampa, and the Toronto Maple Leafs. Pretty good division.
It's a very good division, and it gets a good rivalry going once again between the Red Wings and the Maple Leafs. Of course, the Florida teams get in this. I don't know that they're exactly happy about being in this division. I'd be happier if they were in the Blue Jackets division, quite frankly.
So would I.
Anyway, you take what you get, right? But again, it makes sense, and that Toronto-Detroit rivalry will be a great one.
And as far as the Jackets are concerned, they are now in the Atlantic Division, and quite frankly, it's an old Patrick division with the addition of the Blue Jackets. Let's set it up here. You've got Carolina, Columbus, the New Jersey Devils, Islanders, Rangers, Flyers, Pittsburgh, and Washington. Now, you got to make sure that your true allegiances don't come up when the Blue Jackets and the Penguins
This is
meet.
My true allegiance. What are you talking about?
Okay, well, I just want to be sure
when you have a team that you
Bob's
grow up,
a Pittsburgh native, by the way.
And when you have a team that you grow up cheering for and they're in the other conference, then you can kind of get away with that a little bit. But you're right. Once you go into the conference and into the same division, it's out the window with all of that. But what a great division this is going to be. It is going to be tough. There's no question about it. You've got to get good, and you've got to stay good to skate with these teams. But to have the teams with a heritage of the rivalries in this division, and there will be new rivalries created here. It's going to be tough, but I think it's going to be a lot of fun.
Now, let's talk in terms of what it's good for from a fan's perspective. Obviously, the Blue Jackets here at Nationwide Arena will play every other team in the National Hockey League, which hasn't been the case for the last several seasons, and the Western Conference teams will be here at least once per season, and of course, it'll be home and away, so everybody plays in everybody else's building.
Well, what I like about this is you do get a chance to see everybody. I think that's fair to the fans. And even though it's going to create a little bit more travel snafus for teams that aren't used to going out west, for the Blue Jackets, it leaves you playing the Vancouver Canucks 2 times a year, and it leaves you playing the Chicago Blackhawks and St. Louis Blues and Nashville Predators, teams that you've developed a little bit of a rivalry with over the 12 years that you've been in the league. So it keeps that intact to a much lesser degree, I understand, but at least they're still going to play.
How about all the marquee teams that will now invade Nationwide on a regular basis? Eastern Conference teams led by Montreal, Boston, the Toronto Maple Leafs, and we can just go right down the line. This is going to be a great win-win for the Blue Jackets and for the fans.
Well, you go back over the last couple of years and look what happens when the Flyers come to Nationwide Arena. Look what happens when the Penguins come to Nationwide Arena, when the Sabres come here. I mean, these are games that people get up for. These cities are so much closer. You can travel, and you can travel both ways. We know how Buffalo fans love to travel down here to watch the Sabres play. This gives Blue Jackets fans a chance to be able to do that. It gives you a chance to go to Pittsburgh a couple of times a year if you want to go there and watch the Blue Jackets. So it creates so much. It's great.
Anything else that jumps out at you as being maybe exciting for the fans?
Well, I just think exciting for the fans is Rick Nash will come back in here a couple of times a year. Jakub Voracek comes in here. A couple of guys that you haven't seen are going to come back and play against your team. But again, it's just the fact that you're going to play teams that you know. You're going to play teams that are close. You're going to play cities that you can go and travel to. And it just all makes sense. Oh, and you don't have to stay up until 1 o'clock in the morning to watch Jeff on TV.
One other thing that I think is going to be exciting for hockey fans, not only here, Blue Jacket fans, but right across the National Hockey League. Top 3 teams in every division make the playoffs, and then 2 wild cards from each conference.
Yeah, that's going to be very interesting. So it's going to be a battle. It changes a little bit. I think it does need to change a little bit. You know, you've been in this structured system for so long, so top 3 are guaranteed, and then it's going to be a battle for that final spot. So it's going to be fun. I think it adds a new element of excitement, and it's always good to change it up once in a while.
So some exciting times ahead. The Jackets officially move to the Eastern Conference next season. And for Blue Jackets TV, I'm Jeff Rimer along with Bob, and boy, some exciting times ahead come October 2013.